There he is.
All right. Hey there.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our special session today. And I'm like super excited. Musaf, are we streaming that on all the platforms? This is the question.
No,
Let's set up the stream right now. And we just gonna do it as we go and just open that and I just gonna stream from Zoom over there. How about that?
I will do it in 2 minutes.
Okay, great. Let me know when that is when it is done. But guys, I'm super excited to have today like a super special guest. I met him at an event I was like I'm in a mastermind. It's called the Family Mastermind. It's like one of probably the most coolest rooms I've ever been in. And funny enough, he was speaking last year, and he's not only an awesome human being, he's also a really great entrepreneur. And he was on stage last year, and I saw that what he's doing is so cool. And then randomly we connected. I think it was 1 a.m. Tuesday morning, right? After we all had like a couple of drinks at the bar. And I said, dude, we need to do something together. And he said, let's do it. And so I'm super happy to have Ross Hamilton today with us. He is not only like I said, an awesome human being. He's probably one of the most successful entrepreneurs I know. And he went from land investor to exiting one of the biggest real estate tech companies that were existing at that point of time. And what he will do today is really walking us through that, right? Like really a clear path to how can you make this transition from just like not only being a land investor, like building like clear assets you own instead of just chasing deals, how you make that transition, right? The habits that compound that he built up in his life, like daily little moves that make it like really boring to build wealth, right? This is how he said that, to make it really predictable and inevitable, right? A practical blend of real estate, wealth creation, and behavior design. Like because this is what we always talk about a lot, right? It's like your business, and this is what another friend of us, Trevor Mark, always says: your business will never outgrow your identity, and he will really walk you through that today. And because he's living the life, guys, he's that what we all sign up for. He owns a mountain in North Carolina, right? And when I asked him, hey, dude, what do you do all day? He just told me, oh, I do like 1 a day, 2 days of work, and the rest of that I'm busy with my property and taking care of my kids and taking them to archery and all of that, right? So this is what it really is about. And I'm super happy to have you here on board today, Ross. And yeah, a warm welcome from my side.
Yes. Well, thank you so very much for that warm introduction. And I was really excited to get the opportunity to meet you and your lovely wife as well as we got to ride to the airport together. That was some great time.
True. Oh my God. Like you were at the wrong airport, right? This is what it was too,
I
right?
was I was exactly where I was supposed to be because you and I
Yeah.
needed that. You and I needed some time together to chat, in our best versions of ourselves. So yeah, Robin, I have an awesome presentation here. You challenged me to get it together quick.
Yeah.
And so I really dug deep and pulled out some of the most important lessons that I learned from starting off as a wholesaler, a bird dog, to doing a land deal, which I'll talk about how that land deal literally set my whole life off, to having a huge exit, to kind of having some time um, to really digest all of that and figure out how can I help other people get to their next level, right? You might not be
And
trying to
let
get
me
$100 million.
let me chime in there right
Yeah.
now. Because what he does today really is he gives back, and he gives back in a way like you have never seen before. When you learn about that, what he does, how he supports like children in America, it's like the most amazing thing. And sorry, hey,
Yeah.
how about that? We agree. You take it from here. You have like done this presentation, and I forced him into that. Yeah, I remember that. I said, you're going to
This is
present
my first
like
time.
I
This
will
is my
not
first
do.
time. This is my first time
It's a
doing this
first time.
presentation.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
So I
Really?
mean, I've
Because
done
I said I want to
presentations.
take notes. I want to take notes. When you spit wisdom, like I have a piece of paper here, so like get it out there, bro. Like, and
Yeah, yeah,
then
this is the best of the best. Now, what I'm not great at, because I've been kind of hanging out on my mountain for a while, is technology sometimes. So I'm going to make sure I can share my screen here and get this up and running. All right. So you guys are going to have to work with me to make sure you can see my screen.
Absolutely. We can see you really
All
well
right.
now.
Let me know when you can see the screen, what actually matters. You guys up? All right.
We're up.
It's go time. And as you can see from this first slide, that is my actual, at the bottom, that's my actual email address. Okay. Because I am on this call for a few different reasons. I'm on this call to connect with people whose values align with my values. So I'm not hiding behind 5 websites and 15 virtual assistants anymore. So there you go. This is really about the cornerstones of prosperity in your financial and your personal life. It's about the full picture. And I have been through it, and I'm really excited to kind of share this with you. Now, let's talk about why you're here, right? You made an investment to be here. Your time, I need to make sure that you're framing this right, is what most people would consider to be their most valuable asset. However, I have a caveat to that. Time, while healthy, is your most valuable asset. Wouldn't you say? Because your life, and that shortens the amount of time you have to make an impact, right? I've had a lot of grandparents and parents that have went through some stuff, and sure, they're living long, but their actual ability to produce is a much shorter time period than you might realize. So the time that you're here with me right now, I really value that. And I understand you could be doing a lot of things here. That's why I'm going to make sure that this is a fantastic return on your most valuable asset, your time while healthy. And it might be a little presumptuous of me, but I believe that you're here to learn something that's going to help you in some way. You might be that person that knows once you stop learning, you stop earning, and you're constantly taking things in. But there are some challenges in every single person's life, mine as well, even living on top of a mountain in this afterlife of what it feels like compared to where I've been to. There are challenges here, and you're here to learn something that will help. And I will say that from my years of doing this in the business world, roughly about 3% of you that are on the line right here will leave this call with exactly what you need to get to the next level. There's a lot of you that will hear this. It won't quite resonate now, but in the future, it will come back to you. You'll think it's your idea. That's totally fine. And then there's some people that are going to have multiple browsers open. They're distracted. They're not really focusing in. And it's going to go in one ear, out another. I am that person sometimes too. Some of these messages might not be for you. But if you really lean into this and think and take the small, easy actions that I share, I hope you're one of the 3%. Here you go. Roughly 3% of you will leave changed. So just quick background, the last 20 years of my life, I started investing in real estate at 18 years old as a complete broke wannabe BMX professional. I'll talk about that another day. But I realized at a young age, and I think, Robin, this might be an original Ross Hamilton quote here. Real estate investing is the best option for people with limited options to reach high levels of net worth, high levels of success. At 18 years old, I was able to get, with no job, I was able to get a loan to buy my first investment property. There's not another type of business in the world I could have started to where someone would write me a $140,000 check. So when I got that first check, I'm like, oh, I figured this out. I'm going to keep doing this. So I started bird dogging. Then I started wholesaling. Then I started doing fix and flips. Then I started land investing, being a private lender, which I still am, a land banker. I love holding land, a note buyer, etc. So I've done a lot of different types of investing. I founded major investment groups. The mastermind that Robin and I met at was my mastermind to begin with, one of the companies that I sold off. And Connected Investors was one of the biggest investment groups in real estate that has ever existed. And I'm a professionally published author. I put the word professional there because people have paid me to write books. I didn't just put the books out there. And really, my claim to fame is I built and sold a tech platform, the largest private acquisition in the real estate space. So I'm not saying all of this to brag in any way. I just want you to understand that I have a very unique perspective to go from door knocking bird dog to sitting at the table with the top CEOs of the top publicly traded companies. Some of my mentors, I can't wait to share who they are with you shortly. They're practically the Illuminati. And I've been able to take all of this information and I've created a formula to where you can tie it into your life. So a lot of people, after I sold my company, the question that was like haunting, and I think, Robin, you even asked me this question, is you sold your company, now what? So you hear, now what, now what, now what, now what, now what? And that question can come to you in a lot of different ways in your life for different pivot points. Maybe it's a huge win. Maybe it's you have a child. Maybe you have to take care of a parent and a child. Maybe you lost your job. But either way, the way that you deal with now what is so pivotal in your life. So for me, it wasn't retirement, right? But I didn't want to start another business. I have absolutely nothing to sell anyone on the line here. So don't worry about that if you worry about buying things of value. I'm just here to share. It wasn't about retirement. It was about rewirement. And what is this fun pun? Essentially, I wanted to look at all of my priorities and kind of rewire them, reorder it. Again, not something that you have to have a huge exit to do, but something you have to be very intentional about, to where you're asking yourself about all of the decisions in your life, does this actually matter to me? Yes or no? And why? A lot of people never stop to actually run through that type of experiment. And it's been a really valuable thing. So the last few years, I've been thinking, I've been reflecting, I've been living my life without the worry of money for the very first time. I grew up not even paycheck to paycheck. My parents were always broke. My dad installed floors. My mother was a stay-at-home mom with 3 rowdy boys. We were, we were getting by, but my mom was always, this is almost like a therapy session here, worried about money. So me as the oldest son, I'm like, I have to make money. I have to make money. So as I was growing up, I had these money blinders on to where every decision went through money first and then everything else, which helped me become very successful. However, I was missing out on some really important things. And for the first time, I've been able to live life without that worry. So what I've been doing is really asking myself some of these questions, right? I've been asking myself this question: why do I always win? I mean, I got into real estate at the exact right time, sold before the crash, rebought in. Got into tech right as social media was starting up, built one of the largest social media real estate companies out there. And this question right here, let me say, this is not an ignorant question. This is an aware question. You start asking yourself questions like, why do I always win? You are starting to rewire your brain to look for reasons on why you always win. And I've been out of sync before, where I've been like, man, why do I always mess up? Why do I always miss things? But I come on webinars and podcasts to talk because a lot of times when I'm doing a traditional interview, people will say, well, Ross, why have you been so successful in this, that, and whatever? And I learned by getting asked those questions, I was attracting more success because I was looking for those reasons. So this is something you can do on your own as well. And then I had to ask myself the question, what do I want? That's a really fun, deep question to dive into because you have to know what you value. You're kind of asking, who am I? Right? For the first time, I sold my company at 40, almost on my 40th birthday, a few days after. So it was like a midlife craziness, which was so much fun. But I got to work my way through this. And what I realized I wanted was prosperity. That's a word you don't really hear all that often. So what is prosperity? This is really what I was going for: a state of well-being, success, and good fortune, especially in financial terms, that encompassed a happy life, financial security, and a sense of overall well-being. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It originally meant to thrive in alignment with one's life source. In Rome, prosperity was a goddess of abundance, flow, and harmony. It was invoked not for riches, but for balance between effort and fortune. I'm pretty sure if you 100% knew that the things you were doing would add up to prosperity and fortune, you would do them every single day. If you knew for a fact that it was going to work, you do these things, you're going to have this, you're going to hit this goal. You would do those things, right? And then this is cool. I started to look up the word, and it also means the collective well-being, not necessarily just personal riches. To secure prosperity for posterity was to build conditions for future generations to thrive in freedom and harmony. So I'm like, that word prosperity, I love it. That is really what I was going for. And I want to help people get in alignment with where they are. But what it really meant to me was kind of authentic happiness. You're in your flow. You're doing what you know you need to do. You're getting rewards for it. So authentic happiness for me was first safety. Like I said, I grew up, my mom was always worried about not being able to make a mortgage payment, right? So the safety needed to be there. Once I was able to have the financial freedom in my life and I had that safety, I was able to take more breaths with gratitude because I didn't always feel like I was on this crazy hamster wheel. I wanted to do something with passion, right? I wanted to want to do the things that I was doing. It was really important. And I wanted the things that I was doing to be, impactful. So for me, authentic happiness, I personally had to have all three of these because I've had safety and passion before selling my company, but I wasn't really making a big impact. So something was kind of missing. I've made a big impact before and had safety, but I've done something that sucked and there was no passion. So whenever I was missing one of these, I just didn't have that authentic happiness. So this presentation is going to help you work through this, and you're going to discover the foundational moves that cost nothing but change everything. And I'm so excited this is my first time sharing this information. So I'm excited about your feedback. And listen, to follow the prosperity formula, I'm doing something, I guess everything I'm doing, I've never done before, that I've never done before. So I'm going to personally work with one person that's in Robin's network here and do a deep dive into these lessons that I'm about to share, or anything else that you believe you need to supercharge your business. You can come to me with small problems. You can come to me with big problems. Either way, I'm going to help you push through that because I want to make sure that I am giving back. So I'll chat about that in the later slides. I'm really excited about this, though, to get to meet and know someone on the line here. This is going to be fun. So we're all real estate people. Let's first talk about the future of real estate. Now, I've kind of sat at the helm of one of the largest networks, sit down with publicly traded companies, sit down with a lot of venture groups that are investing in real estate tech, and kind of here's what I'm seeing: a constant reduction of friction, cost, and inefficiencies, right? If there is a broker involved in something, and I'm sorry for the brokers on the line here, then it means something is broke, right? It is literally not, there are inefficiencies in the process, and it takes someone to iron all that out. So real estate is the last big piece of the economy that hasn't been completely and totally streamlined, but little bits and pieces are happening over time, and that is speeding up like never before today. So a lot of the things that I've talked about since 2018 is blockchain, transforming real estate, and AI data-driven investing. I mean, this has been since 2018, 2019 here. I've been talking about this and seeing this happen. So what this means is over time, real estate is going to essentially turn into stocks. What does that mean? You'll be able to buy and sell bits and pieces of every type of real estate that's out there. You can cash in, you can move it. Wall Street wants it to be fast and fluid, and they're getting there little at a time. So real estate investing will change forever, which is why it's so exciting to be in it right now, because gosh, in another decade or two, it's just going to be a whole different type of asset class. It will never be like it is today. So you're at the right place at the right time, even with the crazy shakeup that's happening. Now, if anyone here remembers micro flipping, let me know. I don't know if we're going to be able to hear the audio here, but I put together this whole video on the future of investing in real estate. You can probably see the video of basically drones going out to houses, measuring everything on the house. This is a really fun video to do, and just completely streamlining and automating the entire process. I'll take a sip of my water while this plays. So there you go. That's a visualization on where we're going when it comes to real estate. And micro flipping was a term that that our company came up with during a marketing meeting once. And let me see what we got here. And look, at the bottom of the screen here, you have a little gold nugget. From time to time, I'll throw these little gold nuggets on the screen. But the lesson here was, when I was teaching real estate, I was teaching a new version of wholesaling. So I renamed it. I called it micro flipping. And it's crazy because now in AI, some term I just randomly came up with, it's actually a real estate term. AI has it. People are writing articles about micro flipping. So even in a market that was really saturated, wholesaling, I redefined it, renamed it, and it gave me a huge advantage in marketing and was one of the key factors to me being able to get the revenue I needed to sell the company. But we're not here to talk about the future of real estate. I just wanted to touch on it because I've seen some cool things. We're really here to talk about the future of you, because real estate is just a stepping stone to prosperity. I could have never or got to where I am today without real estate. So let's talk about the future of you. All right, we're gonna jump in here. Robin, how am I doing so far? Am I talking too fast? I'm just so pumped to be here.
I think you're doing fantastic. And I have already a couple of questions for a Q&A in the end, right? Like, I think probably a lot of people have, right? But I think it's fantastic, like, especially because you have this unique view from a really high level perspective. Where will this industry go to? Right. And probably in the land meetings I have been this year, one of the most important questions that came up is, what will the industry look like in 2 years, in 3 years, and 5 years from now? And I'm really pumped about you being here and answering this question to us from a perspective. What does Wall Street think? What is this? Because in the end, it doesn't really matter what like a guru thinks in our industry, what like an influencer thinks in our industry. It's that what the money world thinks about this
Yes.
industry, right? And you can give us some insights on that. So, bro, like, keep going. I like it.
Yeah,
Who else likes
good.
it? Like, give me a hand raise. Like, who is in for that? Like, give me, yeah, look, everybody is here.
Awesome.
Let's rock and roll.
Well, we're heating up here because these are the top lessons here. So the first cornerstone of prosperity in your life, in your personal and financial life, cornerstones is what you kind of build off of. So the first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about your focus. Okay. So there's all these great quotes about focus, which I'm sure you have seen, and there's good acronyms: follow one course until success, right? Focus is such an important thing. And let me just talk about this, because in this crazy world, what do I focus on? I mean, stuff is just hitting you at faster and faster rates, right? It's speeding up, it's heating up. And people, the savviest entrepreneurs I know, people that are just getting started, are getting knocked out of balance, knocked off their focus. And it's really causing some big issues for a lot of different people. So I'm going to help you guys answer this question. You focus on what you have 100% control over. And let's go ahead and talk about that. Before we do, let me just touch on this. Most problems that you might have in your business persist because of this one reason. You can't follow a formula. You have a problem following steps. Here's the thing. If someone else has solved a problem, it's not really a problem. You're following a formula. If you're trying to invent the wheel, guess what? It's probably going to be round. However, if you're doing something that it's never been solved before, then that's not a problem. That's an opportunity. So I just say this because for me, I still have, big problems, right? But I just look at them a little bit different, especially if they have been solved before. So I'm like, I don't really have a problem. I just have to follow a formula. So my problem might be, Ross, you can't follow a formula. That's easier for me to solve. That makes me feel like I have more control over the problems that are holding me back than when I focus on the problem. So I just wanted to share that with you. So let's talk about the things you have control over. And these are the things that you need to obsess over focusing on. This is what everything grows out of, okay? I'm going to go over a handful of these. You have control over the effort you put in. 100%. You can half-ass something or you can go all in. That is you. You have control on what you consume, not just your diet, but the media, the information that you're consuming. You have control over that. You have control over how kind you are, how you handle things, if you're able to see things from another person's perspective. You have control over the questions you ask. My first mentor was a huge advocate of the power of questions. And you saw one of the questions I like to ask myself earlier. You have control over your willingness to forgive, not to allow bad behavior, but to unshackle yourself from all of the negative things that happens when you're holding on to something. You're holding a hot pan. And the reason I pull this stuff up is because I work with people and they are just completely and totally stuck just being mad at something, being mad at someone. And I can't help them because of that. Your daily habits, you have control over. Even if you have a crazy life, you can carve out some time. Who you surround yourself with, how you respond, how you view challenges, and your perspective. These are things that you have 100% control over. And if you obsess over these things, almost all of the other things in your life that you're complaining about slowly vanish. I've seen it happen time and time again. So let's talk about how you're talking to yourself. The word I love I am, right? This is essentially a magic spell that you're casting on yourself. I have a daughter who loves like fairies and stuff, so I'm always in like magic land. And when I started to really understand this is you are casting a spell on yourself when you fill in that sentence. Now, I am is a complete sentence, but the way that you fill that in moving forward just really helps a lot of things. For instance, you can say, I am sick, or you can say, I am healing. Both are usually true. But the mindset between this person and this person is a competitive advantage, right? So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. Now, so the first cornerstone, your focus. I'm going to go back to this slide real quick. I want to make sure that you find one or two of these and just get obsessed with them, right? Write it down. Get obsessed with one or two of these things, okay? So the second cornerstone of prosperity in your financial and personal life, your quest. Quest, what do you mean your quest, Ross? A lot of people like to set goals. To me, a goal is so optional. I have a goal. I am going to do this thing. Now imagine someone going on a quest. What do you picture? I picture someone packing up a few of their belongings, put it in their backpack, and walking away from like a village or something. When they come back, they are going to be a different person. There is no option other than to do the thing, right? So for me, I like to use the word quest when I have a really big thing I am working on doing. So I am a huge advocate of Think and Grow Rich. Anyone read this book? Right? If you haven't read this book, you can listen to it for free on YouTube. I read this book every single year. This was the first book on success I ever received, and it put me on my path to being where I am. So I'm going to be quoting this book quite a lot.
And it's a small book too, guys. If you haven't read it, you want to order that right now, watch on that on YouTube. You can just like do that in one sitting. It's like a small thing. Like really, this is like, guys, like when you didn't raise your hand right now, just go to Amazon after this call, order it, go to YouTube, get it. But sorry, I didn't want to chime in, but that's like, yeah, I felt when you just say that.
Yes, yes, thank you so much. And um, there's a few quotes I'll pull out of here. There's not much that Napoleon Hill says are definite, but there's a few things in here. And one is having a definite purpose, right? Like I was talking about earlier, that passion, knowing what you want. Okay. These are things you have heard before. I get that. However, I know you're not doing it right because it's simple, but it's not easy to follow your definite of purpose in a certain formula to where you actually receive the benefits. We're going to talk about this because me personally, I like to reverse engineer everything. Okay. You've all done mazes before as kids. When you start from the finish line and reverse engineer it, it's a lot easier. Okay. So here's a little golden nugget. As you are thinking through your main quest, your goal, or anything, here's something people always miss. Schedule thinking time. You got a big thing that's kind of bugging you, put it on your calendar just to spend time thinking about it. I can't even tell you, when I was working at 12 hours a day, which was a half day, and I had multiple assistants that were trying to wrangle me in, if I wasn't getting to a task, they would say, Ross, I'm just going to put 20 minutes of thinking time. Can you please just think about that task on your drive to wherever you're going? That would open up a certain part of my mind. My anxiety about doing the task would disintegrate, and then I would do that task that was holding me back. Okay, just a little golden nugget right there. So we're going to talk about your 3-year quest. I know a lot of people like to set 1-year goals, but what I found is people often overestimate what they can get done in 1 year and greatly underestimate what they can get done in 3 years. So you're going to leave this with something tangible, right? So get out, do that thing where you actually get paper out, right? I should have warned everyone before we got started here, or something. Screenshot this worst case scenario. But we're going to use a simple formula here. You can also go to ChatGPT and use Napoleon Hill's formula to help you kind of write this out if you need to. But by 2029, what do you want to do? In the next 3 years, how much financial security do you want to have? I will build a land portfolio of, what is your number? How much residual money do you want having coming in? What type of financial independence do you want? Okay? Because this is going to give you the freedom to. Once you have that, what are you going to have the freedom to do? You probably answered it really quickly in your head. This is important stuff, okay? We're going advanced on the basics here today. Giving you the freedom to do what? Then allowing me to help. Let's face it, there's a lot of people in your lives that are depending on you to be successful. That was a big realization I had at a young age. I remember I hired my first employee, and it was a single mother. And I felt a huge sense of responsibility to keep my company going so she can keep working for me to help the kids, right? There's people in your family, and then there's people outside of your family. Just for 1 second, let's say you hit your financial goal. You got here by 5 times. You've taken care of your family. Who else would you want to help? You've probably never allowed yourself to even think through that, right? So let's talk about this a little bit. Stoicism has been a really fun philosophy to start to really understand. This is another great book. There's some good summaries on it. Marcus Aurelius, the book Meditations. It was his private diary. He was a Roman emperor during the time of the plague, one of the last great emperors. And he had this amazing philosophy that he wrote down for himself after he passed. It got published. A lot of great lessons in there. It's like the entrepreneur's operating system, to be honest. But one of the things I pulled out of this is what stands in the way becomes the way. Okay. And let me just go back here because this is really important. The obstacles that are in your way is what will rally you to levels that a smooth path would never. They'll pull out of you more than you ever thought possible. The most successful people I know usually have a more obstacles than people that aren't quite as successful. So let's see how we can actually apply this, right? This right here, anyone I'm mentoring or when I'm being mentored, I always like to dive into this question. I will do anything to achieve my quest. Just don't ask me to. Now, I'm not talking about anything illegal, right? What are those things that you just don't want to do? Right? For me, with my new venture, I was like, I'll do anything to build my nonprofit. Just don't ask me to travel around and speak. And guess what I do now? And I can't even tell you how many great things have come. So get honest with yourself. It might be, I don't want to do social media. I don't want to fill in the blank, but there's something there. And I love asking this question because it tells me so much about who I'm working with. And you can learn a lot about yourself if you're able to answer this honestly. So I'm just going to share these with you because I found this actually about 3 days ago. And just taking it back, this was my primary aim, not written in, you'll see some others, but in 2008, all I wanted to do was have the private funds I needed for my business. I just needed to find 5 people with $20,000. That was the only thing I needed to do, right? I have all my old primary aims. They're awesome. So let's see how that kind of advanced. Now here, by the time I'm 26, 234 days, I will have a net worth of over $1 million. This net worth will be built through taking ownership of real estate and building connected investors. In return for this wealth, I will work out win-win real estate deals, build a user base of over 30,000 people for connected investors, and continue to be persistent with my education. I believe that I will have this wealth. My fate is so strong. I can now see the success. I can touch the money with my hands. This money is already mine. That's a little more of a primary aim there, okay? And then now this is in 2018, my quest. This is when I started to use the word quest. Connected investors will have gross revenues of 1.5 million per month with net earnings of 500,000. This will be accomplished no later than, I thought it would be July 2nd, but it was actually April 1st, 2020. I'll accomplish this by showing up to work each day 100% organized. This organization will allow me to help guide and empower the individuals who work for me to properly prioritize and make the right decisions for their department. You can see I'm growing here. Now I have a team. I will focus my mind on becoming the conductor of the organization and focus my time on team growth. I have everything I need to carry out these plans, and there is nothing stopping me from exceeding my goal. My why is to advance others. So through my organization, I wanted the people to be advanced. I wanted them to grow in the organization and out. What I like about this one is it has the result. So the result is I hit 1.496 million a month with a net of 672,000. Not a bad month. But you see how that came from 2008? And now 10 years later, I'm making over 650,000 a month. That was a fun run. Okay. And again, I love this. I love how I saw my why is to advance others. I always helped other people achieve what they were doing throughout my run. So team, take a screenshot of this. Make sure to fill this out. Maybe right now isn't the right time. Maybe you need a little bit of time to think about it. But having this written down is number one. You're focusing on the right things and you know what the hell you're doing. Okay? That's really where we got to start. And here's something I did that I had no idea how powerful of an exercise it was. Before I did my first real estate deal, I started writing a book on how to become a millionaire in real estate. I said, wow, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make $1 million. People are going to want to know how I did this in my 20s. I'm going to write it down. I didn't realize how good of a mind exercise that was, putting me in the position of already doing it. And here's the thing. I wrote this book because I was in my 20s, knocking on doors. Still can't grow facial hair in my 40s, right? I looked like I was 12. But my disadvantage, your disadvantage is your advantage, just in disguise. So a golden nugget of information right here is to write your own book, but use your perceived disadvantage in the title in an interesting way. I thought my disadvantage was I was young and had no money. Turned out that was my superpower. I'm mentoring this one individual who just loves the nonprofit I work with, and she's writing a book. The title was great. It was just about making millions after your kids are in bed. The title was way more elegant than that, but I don't want to put it out there because she's got 4 kids and she's doing it when they're sleeping. She's building a huge, huge net worth, and she's writing the book. I can't wait to read it. So anyway, write your book. I'm writing a new book right now as well. All right. First 2, you know what to focus on. You know what you're doing. You understand that your disadvantage is your advantage. So you're not saying I am sick. You're saying I am healing. All right. So the third cornerstone of prosperity in your life, OPE. We've all heard of, hold on, the next slide. All right. We've all heard of other people's money, OPM, which was a huge part of me getting started, leveraging other people's money. But money is essentially just stored energy, right? It's just a piece of it. I realized I didn't want other people's money. I wanted other people's energy. I needed to shortcut my learning curves. I needed to stand on the shoulders of people that were taller than me. So other people's energy was a huge part of my trajectory. And let's just talk about this. The types of people you want in your life to really help, that helped me, are coaches, mentors, and sponsors. Okay, coaches, I'm sure everyone's aware of what a coach is. A coach is going to be there teaching you the tactical things, right? To use a football analogy, they'll work with the quarterback on throwing. Mentors, they're sharing wisdom with you. We'll talk about that in a second. It's a different type of education other than coaches. And by the way, you need both. And then you have sponsors. Sponsors are those coaches or mentors that also invest, that give you money to go do stuff with. It's also called smart money. It's partners that you can bring on that are bringing more than money. They're bringing their influence. Some of my mentors became my sponsors, and it was a big thing. So what I've found is most people are missing mentors in their life. Coaches, you want a coach, you go stroke a check, right? You find a good coach, you do your diligence, and you write the damn check because it's going to be way faster, way more efficient than doing it yourself. Mentors take a little bit longer. However, what you get from a mentor is much different. So I'm going to show you how to find a mentor. I'm going to show you how to work with them, and I'm going to show you how to compensate them. This is where a lot of people fumble, right? But not you. So first off, let's get your mind right. What do you want from a mentor? Also, no matter where you are in life, you never stop having mentors. Okay, you're gonna learn that. The people that I've seen are most successful, they always have a mentor. What you want from a mentor is you want their lens. You want to understand how they're viewing the world. Because a lot of people, a mentor or a guru, right? Everyone is starting from a different location. These are maps that are taking you to Wilmington, North Carolina, right? If you're driving to Wilmington, North Carolina from Maine, the directions are not the same as if you're driving to North Carolina from California. So you don't want from a mentor, you don't need exact plans because the terrain is different. We're all starting with different amount of wealth, different amount of responsibilities outside of making money, right? There's all these different things. So there's not this like one formula when it comes to mentors. You want the wisdom of mentors. You want to understand the questions they ask. Listen to the questions anyone asks. That's really how I can categorize someone and understand where they are in their journey based on the questions they're asking. You want to understand their approach to obstacles. Mentors and people that have been wildly successful, every single day was a new set of obstacles. And you want to understand how they maintain their network because your mentors did not do it by themselves. Even if they were born into a family or went to an Ivy League school, they still had to maintain their network. They're asking good questions. They can get over any obstacle and they have a good network. Okay. So here's some of my mentors that we're going to talk about in some of the lessons. So I'll go over each of these in a second here, but you'll notice I have a photo of an older gentleman, his wife, and that's my wife and daughter. My wife and daughter are on this page because not because they were in this picture, because they are also mentors of mine. You can learn from absolutely anyone. And as you're raising kids, you're learning. If you're in a positive relationship or you're working on your relationship, you're learning. So don't get so caught up on all the lessons have to come from this person that's worth, $100 million. Lessons, mentors can start small and kind of build up. Now, my wife is the number one mentor in my life. I love her so much. And my daughter just got braces today. So she's excited about school tomorrow. So let's go ahead and talk about some of these lessons. Here's my first mentor. His name is Dave Mira. He was a 14-time X Games gold medalist. Like I said, when I was young, I was a semi-pro BMX rider. I had a BMX clothing company. I had a Volkswagen van. I sponsored kids. We drove all around the country, went to contests. And this gentleman came into my life, and I was so excited because he was the best BMX rider in the world. The Michael Jordan of BMX, of my sport, moved into my town. I got to work for him. He opened up a skate park in my little town. There were only 5 BMX riders in my town. I was one of them because I couldn't skate. And I got to work for him, which means I got to spend time with him. And literally, he was turning the impossible into the impossible. I watched this gentleman literally do things on a bike that I thought were not possible. He would do backflips and he would literally touch the ceiling with his tires. The ceiling was filled with tire marks. I would have thought if your tire touched the ceiling, you're going to stop your rotation and you're going to fall straight on your head. I got so good at riding my bike being surrounded by him. And in BMX and in extreme sports, I learned how to manage risk. I learned that sometimes when you fall, that's when you really learn, right? At the time, it was a really exciting time to be part of Dave Mira here. And let me just let me just, I mean, this guy was absolutely amazing. He was top of his game, and I got to hang out with him every single day, and I got really good as a result. Remember, you have complete control over the people you surround yourself with. And I had a really good time with him. I was on the front cover of magazines, you know, having an absolute blast, traveling around the world, riding my bike. But I had a career-ending injury. Twisted my ankle so far, it broke my leg. And can you guess what question I had to ask myself? Now what? Like, I'm a guy, if I'm doing something, I'm all in, right? So my whole life was built around this. And I really hurt myself, and it just wasn't going to be the same. Actually, it was a really tough time for me in my life. I had to take the first job I could. And the job I had was, I was literally, my title was dumpster diver, Robin. I'm not even kidding. So I would drive around to dumpsters. This is one of them. I went back to take a picture of it. And I had to pick the scrap pad out of dumpsters, put it in a trailer, drive an old box truck back to a warehouse, and then put it in a baler. Let me just tell you this. The box truck, I had to hotwire to start it. It was such a old box truck. So I did learn how to hotwire a car. And the baler had absolutely no safety equipment. I was told to keep my hand in until it got close and then pull it out. And the forklift had no brakes. You just had to throw it in reverse or forward and just slam the gas to move. So I went from riding with Dave Mira, BMX. He moved out of town. The skate park closed. Now I'm bailing scrap pad, finding homeless people, God bless their souls, sleeping in this pad. So it was a pretty tough time. I actually shot a whole video about it. But let me tell you something. Golden nugget time right here. This is the silver lining exercise. All right. And this really helps me help people that that are missing something important, right? So it's, if I didn't break my leg and stop riding BMX, then I wouldn't have reached the level of success that I'm at today. Like, breaking my leg was the best thing that it literally stopped a one path I was on and put me on another path. I was never going to be Dave Mira. I was good, but I didn't have that crazy. There's not crazy. You just, the talent plus the crazy it takes for extreme sports. I would think too much. But I guarantee there's something in your life, right? That's something that seemed negative that actually was positive. And this is a great exercise to do to get your head right. Okay. So after breaking my leg and being completely broke in more ways than one, I found first Think and Grow Rich, right? I read that book and it gave me the confidence to believe in myself. Then I found Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm sure a lot of you have read this book. I don't remember a darn thing about it except for this quote: "More millionaires are made from real estate than any industry." And I said, you know what? I'm just going to play the odds. At the time, Robin, I would go to Barnes and Noble and treat it like a library. I'd sit there after leaving a dumpster, smelling like a dumpster of scrap pad. If you've ever done a rehab, you know the scrap pad is where everything sits. Anyway, that's another story. I'd go there stinking after work, open their books, read it, take notes, come back the next day, pick up, because I couldn't afford the book and the internet wasn't really a thing. But that helped me value what I was doing, right? So anyway, I realized that more millionaires read from real estate. I said, I'm going to do real estate. And this takes me to my first investor, this takes me to my first real estate mentor, a gentleman by the name of John Long. He was the biggest investor in town. I went to my local RIA meeting, Secrets of Local Real Estate Investors. He was the guy with the face on all the billboards. I listened to him. I had stars in my eyes. I wanted to be this guy. And I remember I talked to him after he spoke. And I said, John, I want to be a real estate investor. Should I get my real estate license? And he said, do you want to show kitchens or do you want to make money? I'm like, I want to make money. He's like, then you don't need your real estate license. He's like, you should wholesale. I'm like, okay, John, but I don't have any money. I didn't even know what wholesaling was. And he taught me if the deal is good, money will never be an issue. Money is typically only an issue if your deal kind of sucks or is okay. If a deal is really good, people want to put money in it. And I realized that, and I just wanted to get really, really good at finding deals. So I would literally go to this guy's office a few times a week and just ask me if he needed help with anything. Chased me off a few days. Then he's like, oh, put these signs up. Then one of his guys didn't show up. He's like, go to the courthouse. So he never intended to be my mentor, but I made him my mentor. And it's where I learned how to invest in real estate. And my opportunity was by knocking. I would literally knock on the doors of people that were in foreclosure or about to lose their house for one reason or another, at 18, 19 years old. And they'd open the door and I could I could smell what they were cooking. I could see the despair on their face. I could see how pissed off they were that I was there. And my goal was just to get their phone number. We didn't have skip tracing back then. And I'd say, hey, my boss wanted me to come by and tell you if you need to save or sell your house, he can help. And I always wished I could help these people, but I was broker than they were, right? So that's where I learned real estate investing, was by knocking on a few dozen doors a day. Holy moly, you learn really quick. And people that wanted to work for me, I'd always give them doors to go knock on because I wanted to chase away people that didn't really want it. And the few people that did it and showed up, I'm still partners with today. It's crazy. So here's one little thing I learned while I was out there knocking is if I knocked on a house and no one answered and the house looked a little vacant, I am not saying do this. But I would literally put a for sale sign in the yard. It said for sale, investor special, call, and I had a phone number set up. And what I was doing was I was building my buyer's list of people that wanted to buy investment properties. And then I'd get the call and I always knew when it was the person because they would call up and they'd say, who is this? And I'd say, oh, hey, this is Ross. You have a sign in my yard. And I'd say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've been trying to get in touch with you. And it would start the conversation off. I got a lot of deals that way and built a really big buyer's list. And I realized the more people I had my buyer's list, at the time, back then, buyers were hard to find, the better I did. So I'm sure there's some laws against this, but it was part of the growth hacking I did at a young age. So I'm going to take a step back here because I wanted to talk a little bit about land. I was running this exact strategy. I knocked on the door of a lady who was about to lose their house to foreclosure. And I talked to her. She was really sweet, Clara Kellum. And she's like, I really want to stay in my house. It's just me and my son. And I asked the question that literally changed my life. I said, well, do you have any other property you want to sell? And she's pointed across the street. She's like, I own the 10 acres across the street. And I was like, maybe I'll start investing in land. So we worked out a deal and I purchased that property from her with seller financing. What she needed was $10,000 to stop her foreclosure. So I gave her $10,000 and she seller financed me the balance for 0% interest, principal only payment. If that makes any sense to you, that's a good deal. And payments didn't start until I had an approved subdivision. So basically, I got her out of foreclosure and had a year or two of no payments to figure out what to do with the land across the street. And because I didn't have a land mentor at the time, I didn't know Robin, it took me a little while to figure it out. But I wound up making damn near $150,000 in profit on that property, free and clear, and used that money to start my tech company. So I was flipping houses use that money to start Connected Investors. This is Connected Investors 1.0, right? This is something you can't find. And built this up to about 2 million people that were using this platform to find properties. And yeah, it was a great journey there. All thanks to investing in land. However, it wasn't a straight up trajectory. It never is. I had a business ending injury as well. I found myself in quicksand. I was developing software with developers. However, I had no development experience. I forgot to mention this, but I hardly graduated high school. I went to a little bit of college, but by the time I was supposed to transfer, I already owned a bunch of houses. So I'm like, I'm not doing this. And I never really learned about tech, but I started a huge tech company, right? Using these strategies I'm sharing. So I got to a point to where I had invested over $1 million in this software. The software was starting to make money, right? That's a whole nother webinar. But at one point I had operating expenses, I had cash reserves, and I had to rebuild my entire website. And I owed 120,000 and I had no money. I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do. I had to rebuild my entire site. It's like taking the engine out of a plane and rebuilding it while you're in the air. And I literally worried myself to being sick. I remember I was so nervous about losing everything. I've been hustling, been working hard, had all of my eggs in this basket, and I was about to lose it all. Yeah, I was going negative big time. But then I met the CEO of Lending Tree, and he helped me, he mentored me. I'm going to share something with you on how to pull that site out of the ground, and helped me build out a whole new division of my company called privatelenders.com, which is still up, and a decent way to, I sold that company as well, a decent way to find funding for fix and flips. But what I realized is I was just one relationship away from prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, anytime I am stuck, anytime I'm spinning my wheels, if I've ever reflected backwards on that, what always gets me out is just that one relationship. And what that does is it gives me a little more fuel to just keep pushing, because I know that this can be solved, right? Now, this gentleman, the CEO of Lending Tree, actually just passed away about a week and a half ago. He had just bought a bunch of land. He's from Charlotte. I'm in Asheville. He just bought a bunch of land about 30 miles away from Asheville for a family farm. And he was on his four-wheeler a few weeks ago. And yeah, he passed away. I'm really bummed about that. He was one of my top mentors, and I owe him quite a lot. But it just points to how fragile and how valuable all of this time is. Because time, while healthy, is good, but you can get unhealthy real quick. So this has been quite a loss. I was looking forward to spending more time with him now that he was going to be 30 miles down the road, and doing some more big things together. So anyway, the people in your life are special, but you're just one relationship away from prosperity. He helped me have an exit of Connected Investors to First American Title, and then I was able to move on to my next thing. So now moving into my next mentor, who was he's a multi-billionaire. He doesn't like me necessarily sharing his name. He's been a billionaire since the 80s. And what he taught me is you don't want small problems. On the contrary, you want really big problems. I thought, cool, man, all I want is no problems. No, you don't want no problems. You want to have the right mindset to enjoy opportunities, because that's what a problem is. It's like you don't want small invitations. You want big, like problems are invitations to something bigger. You want an invitation to the biggest thing. Let's do it. And no one's had more problems than this gentleman. So I realized avoiding problems was keeping me small, a realization I had to have after selling my company when I was trying to just kind of step back. So he also taught me true success isn't what you take with you, it's what you leave behind that continually gives long after you're gone. So the last time I sat with him, that's actually out in St. Kitts. We had lots of mentor style conversations. It was just so interesting, his views on life and where he was directing me. So his words motivated me in a whole new way. So let's talk about how to get a mentor. All right. Here's a big realization. You decide if someone's going to be your mentor more than they do. Not one person I showed you said, sure, Ross, I'll mentor you. The billionaire didn't have a mentor program. A real estate investor in town wasn't mentoring people. My wife certainly didn't realize she was going to be mentoring me, right? So this is a mind shift right here. Let's talk about this a little bit. Okay, so let's say I'm going to basically show you now how I have managed to get mentors of companies worth $1 billion to multiple billionaires to the best bikers in the world to the best investors in town. It was about the questions I would ask. Probably going to want to take a picture of this page. So there's a lot of questions you can ask people, right? But what I'm looking for when I'm talking to someone that I want to be mentored by is how can I maybe provide value? And trust me, even if you don't think you have anything to offer, you do. So I'd ask questions like, what's one bottleneck you've learned to live with, but shouldn't have to? Guess what? If you can help solve that problem, you can start working with this person. If you had an extra few hours every day, what would you spend it on? This is things that they want to do that they can't. And it might not even be business, by the way. Someone can be like, oh, I'd love to learn how to sail. Maybe you can sail. Okay. If you could clone yourself, what would your second self work on? Again, you're looking for those gaps, and everyone has them. What passion projects or side businesses are you working on? I love that because you want to get something done, ask the busiest person you know, right? These are people that are constantly in motion, which means they probably have a few passion projects they would love to get up and running, or they might have it going, but it's a skeleton crew that's working on it. I have a handful of passion projects right now that don't have a staff anymore. Okay, where do you see the biggest opportunity that's being overlooked? And if I wanted to make myself useful to your mission, well, what would that look like? These are questions just to kind of open the door with individuals because you can't go straight at them. You got to figure out what's missing. You have to provide value. Let's talk about that. Here's how you provide values to millionaires or billionaires. You implement, you explain the impact, and you do introductions. Let me explain this. So in certain situations, people, they come to me and they start asking me a lot of questions about business, right? And if I spend time with someone and I give them some advice and I never hear back from them, I've kind of just wasted my time. Or if I see them again and they didn't even give it a second thought, I've moved on. Because people at certain levels want to help other people move up. So if someone you want to mentor you gives you some advice, do it. Then explain the impact. Could be good or bad. Hey, Ross, I tried Cornerstone 4. Let me tell you, wow, man, I made such a big impact. It's moved my business so far forward. And let me tell you, it's helped my personal life as well, right? Like now my partner can XYZ, or it's been a big game changer. Just thank you. So now you're telling me when I give you my time, you turn it into something impactful. You are 1,000 times more likely to get more of my time. Then over time, you'll start making introductions once you understand how you can help that person. And I've in many times, I have leveraged the ear that I have with these CEOs and these billionaires to get indoors and to get introductions, mutual introductions. So it's just the 3 I's. You have to implement, impact, and then you start making introductions, right? So this is big. Because a lot of people don't believe they can provide any value to people that have super high net worths. But what they value is different than what you value. What I value today is a complete change to what I valued in 2008. All right. 4th cornerstone of prosperity in your financial and personal life. And this is where you're going to be taking some action. Okay. So now let's do a recap. You know what to focus on and what to obsess over and what not to obsess over. You know what you're doing. You've started to surround yourself with some mentors and some good people, right? You're getting the cornerstones in there. All right. Now we got to keep you going. So the 4th cornerstone I like to refer to as bumpers. These are things that you put in place so you're not rolling gutter balls, right? It's keeping you moving forward, whether you're crawling, walking, or running, right? This is the infrastructure of consistencies. Everyone slips. The goal is not perfection. You want to have rails in place to keep you in the game, all right? So we're going to talk about some bumpers. For me personally, I have to make sure I'm starting and ending my day off with intention. I don't like opening my eyes up into chaos, and I don't like closing my eyes, not planning the next day, okay? So we're going to talk about this a little bit. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this audio, but Jerry Seinfeld has
I never get enough sleep. I stay up late at night because I'm night guy. Night guy wants to stay up late. What about getting up after 5 hours sleep? Oh, that's morning guy's problem. That's not my problem. I'm night guy. I stay up as late as I want. So you get up in the morning,
So I'm not sure if you're able to hear that audio, but Jerry Seinfeld has a funny little skit, Seinfeld Night Guy, where he talks about how night guy always kind of screws morning guy, right? So here's a really important thing. You need to get alignment with the different versions of yourself. The past, the present, and future you have to be working together and trying to provide gifts for each other, right? These are past, present, future. Me, myself, I. The 3 of you have to be in alignment. Your present self has got to be clearing the way for your future self. And there's a lot of fun philosophy about your past self playing a big role in here as well. But look at this. My past self was writing down my primary aims, and I'm reading them today. And that my past self is now reminding my present self that, holy crap, when I write stuff down, it's only all come true. I got a magic pen here. Let's write some other stuff down. Okay. So getting yourself in alignment is really important. So outside of that, the fun philosophy conversation we can have at 1 a.m, like Robin and I probably did, having your morning and evening routine, you want to create your own. If I work with someone one-on-one, I'll share mine, but you want to make sure that you are in alignment with your main goal, which you have to have. I personally like to start and end my day with gratitude because I believe gratitude is true wealth. And then for my morning routine, I like to just get outside. I like to get up and start tackling the toughest thing as soon as I can. All right. I have a whole process on my morning and evening routine that I don't have time to share, but make sure you get at least a little one in. Even if you just have 2 minutes of peace, you don't need a 2-hour routine. But there are some things you absolutely have to have in place. To tie into the Jerry Seinfeld skit, you need to make sure before you go to sleep at night, you know exactly what you're doing the next day. You don't want to wake up and then figure out what you're doing. You want night guy to help morning guy, night girl to help morning girl, right? Top 3, give it to me. What am I doing? All right. So let's talk about social accountability. There's a lot of quotes out there. Oh, don't show people what you're doing. Prove it to them, or they'll take your ideas. I love to tell people what I'm doing because social accountability is a big thing for me. But for this to work, you have to be impeccable to your word, which you should be doing anyway. But you can't say you're going to do something and not do it. That's when social accountability will corrode you and people will kind of write you off. So you have to be impeccable to your word. All right. We're going to talk about masterminds. A mastermind is where 1 + 1 = 11. I have an 8-year-old daughter and I love telling her 1 + 1 = 11. She's starting to get it. Masterminds are one of those things that are very important. Think tanks. We'll talk about them in just a second if you don't know what a mastermind is. Going back to Think and Grow Rich. This is one of his main guarantees that if you have a true mastermind group, success becomes a certainty because it allows you to overcome personal limitations, gain new perspectives, and maintain accountability. It's not about the mere association, but the aligned collaboration toward a shared vision. So this right here, the masterminds I have been in have been absolutely instrumental to my success. All right. There's a lot of different types of masterminds here. So you have traditional masterminds. We'll talk about that. You have morning masterminds. This is something I came up with. And then you have meditation masterminds. This is a hidden chapter in Think and Grow Rich. Let's talk about these. First off, my first mastermind. I was dating my wife, who is my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and her best friend's dad worked for a guy that was going to a meeting in Florida to meet with the biggest real estate investors and educators in the country. And I had just started developing connected investors. The guy's name was Paul. I said, Paul, can I come? He goes, no way, man. I was like, oh, I got to be in that room. I got to show him my software. I said, no, man, this is invite only. It's like, when is it? He's like, it's next Wednesday in Florida. I was like, oh man. It's like, I'd really like to go. He's like, maybe next time. So the next week, you know what I did? Robin, I got in my car and started driving to Florida. Driving down this little road right here. I'm in South Carolina. I'm calling Paul. He's not answering. I'm in Georgia, calling Paul. He's not answering. I'm in Florida, calling Paul. He's like, what? I was like, I'm in Florida. He's like, why? I'm like, I'm coming to the mastermind. He's like, you can't. I'm like, I drove all the way here. I've got to be there. And he said, I'll give you the address. Just don't tell anyone I told you. 100% true story. So he gave me the address and I showed up and just kind of worked my way in. And I met literally almost every single person I ever did business with at that meeting. I had to have a mastermind. Napoleon Hill told me it was the #1 thing, so I went for it, okay? I just wanted to show you what it takes sometimes. Now, traditional masterminds, we're not going to spend too much time, but in case you don't know what it is, it's a room of experts. The best have 5 to about 20 people, and they meet in person about every 4 months. I've received a lot of value out of masterminds. This is kind of like a coach. You can write a check for them. You can become part of them. But read Think and Grow Rich to where you can see what a real mastermind is. Okay. Now, what I'm training you on here is how to host your own morning masterminds. So every single weekday morning, me and 2 other individuals meet up for our morning mastermind every single day. Here's what you need to do. You need to find 1 or 2 other people you respect to meet daily. You get on that call and each person reads their quest, reads their primary aim. This was the main reason I started these masterminds, because I wasn't reading my goal every day. I would, yeah, it. Oh, I need to, oh, yeah, I'll do that later, right? Now I am saying it out loud to 2 other people that I respect. Then you list out your 3 non-negotiable aligned tasks for the day. Non-negotiable, aligned means it ties directly into your quest. And the people in my mastermind make sure it's tied into my quest. So I can make sure I'm moving toward my goal every single day. Non-negotiable. This right here, I'm going to give you a little tip. The things you write down, you have to do. So be careful what you write. You need to make sure it's within your control. It needs to be measurable. You did it or you didn't. What you're doing here is you're building trust with yourself. You are basically building the muscle of say it, do it, say it, do it, say it, do it, say it, do it. There have been many, many nights to where I have only got 2 of my 3 done, and I've got out of bed and I finished it because I don't want to have to admit to these 2 people I respect that I didn't get my top 3 done. Okay. So we score ourselves in the previous day. We get on the line. Say, hey, yeah, yesterday I got a 66, or yesterday I got 100. Right. And then we mentor each other. You should always be teaching and learning, teaching and learning. You get better when you teach, right? And to hear people that you respect have challenges and you listen to their daily grind, it just gives a whole new life to what you're doing. These morning masterminds, like literally, please create a morning mastermind. It takes very little to do. And the value is massive, right? Who's going to do a morning mastermind? Let me know. Okay. So now this gets a little bit deeper here, but hosting your own mental mastermind, right? Mental might be the right word. So you're going to identify your dream team. If you can sit at a table with any people, right? Living from today or the past, who would they be? Okay. You have to know, let me jump back. When you're picking these people, I suggest that you learn about them, read their biography, just really dive deep, because you need to learn who they are. Then you're going to pick your ideal location to host. What do you mean, Ross? I thought we were mental. It's in your mind, right? Well, yeah, it's in your mind. However, you're going to meet at the same place. I meet at my billionaire mentor's house. So I can picture myself driving in the driveway, walking into the house, the spiral staircases up to his rooms. You're going to pick your ideal location to host it. You're going to schedule time on your calendar to meet. Oh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. You are treating this as if you are really going there, right? Careful if anyone's looking at your calendar, because people don't quite understand if you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, okay? And then what you're doing here is you're bringing your biggest challenges to these mental masterminds, okay? You are sitting there in front of these individuals and you're saying, here's where I'm stuck. What would you do? You're working through these things, or sometimes you're just there with them. But you can get a lot. It's kind of like a WWJD on steroids for business, right? And Jesus could be in your group if you want, and you can pull from that wisdom. This right here really helps you hear the messages that you're missing, because a lot of this, when I mentor individuals, only all of the time, the person knows what to do, right? I am helping them realize what they already know. And in some weird way, I am simply just a permission slip for them to do what they already know they need to do. I'm going to say that again. Your mentor sometimes is just a permission slip that you give yourself. So it can be in person. You can also do this through thoughtful meditation, prayer, or wherever you're at in your internal journey. So, cornerstones of prosperity. You have your focus. You have a defined quest. You're accelerating with other people's energy. And you have constant realignment with your bumpers. You will push through any and all obstacles if you have all of these pieces in place. And this is something you do once and you're like, cool, it's done. This is something that becomes part of your daily habits. You're focusing on things 100% within your control. You know exactly where you're going. You're taking steps toward your destiny every day. You're in alignment. Every day, you are both mentoring and being mentored. Your mindset is right. Obstacles accelerate you. You're unstoppable. Okay? So, let's get back to some good questions, right? Because I've applied all of these techniques. I know many people that have reached super levels of success. And this guy right here, George Jenkins, he was one of the early founders and CEOs of Publix, the grocery chain. And he was asked this question. As I really look up to him. He was a big philanthropist. He gave away so much money. So one day during an interview, someone in the audience said, Mr. George, how much do you think you'd be worth today if you hadn't given away so much? His answer, without hesitation, he said nothing. That really stuck with me. You know, you spend all this time stacking up all these coins, right? Look at me, I have all of this gold. What is that? I don't judge myself on that. I want to make sure that I'm having an impact here. And listen, I remembered that real estate is the #1 way to become a millionaire. But then I learned home ownership is the #1 way out of poverty. Think about that. If someone owns a home, when they're older, the house is paid off, their kids don't have to worry about their parents' living expense. When they pass away, they can leave something on to their children. It's the #1 way out of poverty. And, you know, a lot of people got locked out of owning properties and they don't even realize how far behind that put them. And there's some people that have houses and they're about to lose them. And the ripple effect of that is devastating. You know, the meaning of ROI changed for me from return on investment to return of impact, right? So I kept thinking, like, what can I do? If I take everything I've learned from knocking on doors to riding bikes to the software and data company I had, you know, what could I do? Because after I sold, so many people came to me and said, Ross, donate to this, Ross, donate to that. And I built some villages and did some fun stuff. But when I looked at it, I'm like, man, if I had a nonprofit, I wanted to address a core human need. Food, water, shelter, right? Let's start there. I wanted donations to go direct to the cause. Nothing bothered me more than giving $100 and $10 is going to the cause. Now that I run a nonprofit, I don't fault those companies because they're running a business. They have overhead, right? I wanted to help US families in crisis. I had done this stuff overseas, but I'm seeing a lot of people right here that are suffering. I wanted what I was doing to have a multiplying effect to where, like my first mentor said, you know, it's what you leave behind that creates a lasting impact. So I didn't want to just put a Band-Aid on something. I wanted it to be self-sustaining. This was what I was looking for. So what if there was a nonprofit where every dollar you gave kept working long after it left your hands, recycled and reused, so the impact never stopped? Imagine that. Families about to lose their homes? No way. Families are staying in their homes. Kids are growing up safe instead of in shelters. A giving model that even lowered divorce, depression, addiction, and even suicide. Not through politics or promises, but through the simple power of people looking out for one another. That's what I was looking for. I had this written down. And my mentors and I, came up with the answers. We came up with a nonprofit flywheel. Let me explain this. But first, here's what a flywheel is. A business flywheel is a self-reinforcing system where momentum builds slowly at first. It takes time and effort to get your idea moving, but the energy compounds. Each action builds on the last, creating a multiplying effect. And sustainability takes over. Once the flywheel gains speed, momentum drives continuous growth, making progress easier and more efficient over time. There was no nonprofit flywheel. So I'm going to get back to this in a second here. But I created savinghomes.org, okay? And I'm going to share this with you, but I want to play this
We
video
went
real
from
quick.
having an awesome past couple of years and being able to save and have money, and that all got depleted pretty quick when my daughter was diagnosed with a rare blood disease a few years ago. Coming out of that, you know, with medical bills, it was just really a snowball effect of events that we honestly just didn't see coming, and probably should have been better prepared, but I don't I don't know if anybody really can prepare for things like that.
So this lady's daughter was about to die, and she had to make the impossible decision. Do I pay my mortgage or save my daughter's life? It wasn't a hard decision. But thanks to Saving Homes, she was able to save her house. If you've never had to decide between saving your daughter's life or paying the mortgage, consider yourself lucky. There's a lot of people right now that are in a tough place. Who we help at Saving Homes? Single parents, large families, and those caring for disabled loved ones, those on the brink of homelessness due to an unforeseen medical hardship with nowhere else to turn. A few months ago, we saved this family right here. These little girls were about to have to live in an extended stay hotel. What is that? We're better than that as people. We were able to step in and help them. So this is exactly why I am here. This is the now what. And let me just tell you, this reduces homelessness, supports affordable housing, fixes generational poverty, lowers the risk of divorce, reduces substance abuse, reduces child abuse and suicide. It's an everlasting life jacket. Let me just actually I want to show you guys something. Here's the flywheel. Now here's what happens. People like you, they get the flywheel to start spinning, right? They make a donation to Saving Homes. What we do is we go in and stop the foreclosure of a family that we have underwritten, a family with a lot of kids that had a medical issue. It saves the home. These families are able to keep 100% of their equity. Their payment does not increase. They're back on track, right? They're back at work, so they're fine. Now, here's the flywheel part. In the future, when the home is sold or refinanced, the donations come back into Saving Homes, allowing us to help the next family. This is done as a recoverable grant and placed on the property as a second mortgage with no payments, no interest, no funny business. They need 10 grand, we give them 10 grand. In the future, the $10,000 comes back, we can help the next family. Remember back in the day when I said I was knocking on doors, wishing I could help these people? So here's the beautiful thing. Donations are recycled and reused over and over again. So back in the day when I used to worry about what percentage of my money was going to the cause, well, in this particular nonprofit, I cover all of the operational overhead out of my own pocket. And all the donations go directly to the family. There's credit card processing fees and a little this and that. But when the money comes back in, boom, it goes right back in over and over and over again. So every time the flywheel turns, more families are saved without needing more funding. It's not just charity, it's a self-funding, scalable solution to one of the biggest problems in America. And let me tell you, it's about to be even bigger. So this is why Robin is having me here, because I have essentially checked all the boxes for the nonprofit dream. We're addressing a core human need, keeping kids in their house. Is it the kid's fault? No. The kid doesn't want to have to move school districts because they can't afford a house in their neighborhood. They don't want to have to give up their dog because the landlord won't rent to them, move into a car or a homeless shelter. We're helping keep kids in their house. We're saving US families in crisis. There's nearly no admin cost, and the money keeps recycling. So it's not 90% of your money, it's essentially 500% of your money, because the money keeps recycling over and over again. It has that multiplying effect, and it's self-sustaining. So what I'm asking you to do on the call here tonight is to spin the wheel, right? Make a donation to Saving Homes. And here's what I'm going to do. For every $100 you donate to our nonprofit, you're going to earn a chance to be mentored by me for a full year. Again, we can go over what we talked about here on the call, or we can dive into what you have in your business, and I can help get you to the next level. So all you have to do is visit savinghomes.org/land and make a difference. Okay. I think I'm going to play this one
Just
video
the
real quick.
thought of homeless shelters made me want to commit suicide. Your organization is vital. It's vital. It's vital to people like me. If it wasn't for y'all, I would be losing my house. I don't know where I would go with 2 teenage girls, and I have nowhere else. It was coming down to homeless shelters.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, a lot of these people that we're helping, their houses are worth around $300,000, between $150 to $350, right? Their payments $500 to $800 a month. Where is someone, that lady right there out in Charlotte? She was in a 3-2, paying $700 a month in Charlotte. Where in the heck is she going to go? The houses in her neighborhood are $3,500 a month to rent now. She has nowhere else to go, but she has some equity, so the money is secured, and we're able to use the donations over and over again. So if you donated and we helped that lady, well, we've helped her, and in another handful of years, we'll help another family. You can see families in urgent need of your donation. And here's the thing, stories like I shared with you, they go on and on. There's always going to be a family that needs some help, but the donation goes on and on as well. So that's what got me so excited to dedicate my time, energy, and effort to this. You know, I spent the first 20 years of my life building up my fortune. Now I'm spending the next 20 years building up Saving Homes to get $10, $20 million in there working over and over again. But to be completely honest, I can't do it without your support. So start your flywheel by donating. Enter for the drawing. Let me see if I can actually pull this up real quick. If you can pull up, hey, Robin, why don't you can you pull up savinghomes.org/land? I want to show you.
Let me do that right now.
Yeah. And what I'm going to do here tonight, because I really want to make it, we have a specific family we're trying to help, is I'm going to go ahead and match all the donations that are made into this family. Okay. Because we have a mother of 6 right now that I believe we're $8,500 away from saving. And this is part of the Save a Home for the Holidays campaign that we're in the process of running right now. So these people are either going to be pushed out of their house around mid to late December, or we're going to raise the $8,500 we need to help keep them in their house. And we're even going to send their kids some Christmas presents and stuff. You know, Robin, what I do now is I kind of go deep with each family, right? We make sure they're set up. We make sure this one family, their kid was a really good runner, but they hadn't been able to afford shoes in a while. So we got them some shoes. Just those little touches that we're able to do for these families. And do you have the page up? Is the audience able to see the page?
I think so. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
I can't. Okay, people can see your screen. Can you scroll to the bottom where it shows the family?
Right here.
Yep, there they are. Great family. So I am on the call right now, donating my most valuable asset, time while healthy, to help this individual. By donating just $100, you'd be in the drawing. and you'll be able to work with me in your real estate business. If you're one of the people that if you're the person that gets chosen. So don't do it because you want that, do it because you actually care. And I'm really excited to get to know someone on the line here. Who knows? It could be just that one you know what the fun thing is, Robin? Like I said, you're one relationship away from prosperity, from your next level. But the person that I meet, that person could be the person I'm looking for as well. Right? You never know where it's going to come from when you're aligning yourself with action takers that care. Those are the type of people that I want to be around. So, Robin, that's what I have for us tonight, and I'm really excited.
Bro, like first of all, let us stay in the charity before we wrap this up and open it up for a little Q&A if you have 5-10 minutes left. Maybe let's like get this screen. Can you stop your screen sharing, Ross? You know, I want to tell you a little story about myself. Like when I was back in Germany, I was supporting a charity there, which was supporting children. Like me and my buddy, we went out and just worked Christmas out, giving Christmas presents to kids on the cancer station and all that. They did all this kind of stuff because why should you support children? And when Ross came up with that, I was like really touched because they are not in charge of the decisions that their parents first of all make, and they are not in charge of the life events that happens. But what they deserve, and our kids deserve that, is to have a fresh start in life. And this is what we can do them. And when he came up with this and came up with an idea where you can donate money that is like recycled and helps over and over and over again, this is like really smart entrepreneurship combined with really giving part and giving kids the chance to start a life how they deserve that. Lives maybe you had or you didn't have. Lives your kids had or should have, right? And when Ross came on, like, I don't know what he charges an hour to speak, but it's like a really, really, really high amount of money. I said, you know what? We're going to make that happen in the community. Whatever you give, I'm going to double it down, right?
You're double well.
Yeah, I double it down. And Ross is doubling it down too. And I think you have a super donut too, right? So it's like a quadruple, whatever it is. Let's get that together, guys, because we will save one family for Christmas. It's like for the business people here, it's 100% tax write-off too, right? Like so, this is like the nice thing about that too. But this is not the cost. Like it's just something you give back, and we will give ongoing back on every deal we do. Like Ross and me are working on something here right now. So we have a couple of people like that in our Atlanta Autopilot program. Each deal we do, that will go some money back to savinghomes.org because I think, and I know the structure and what you think about charities and all this overhead and all that, the amount of money that gets really back to there is like ridiculously high to any charity I've ever seen. And I've underwritten, and I've done that a couple of times in my life. So if you have $100 right now, $300, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, go to savinghomes.org, put it in there, get that too, and get also the chance to work with Ross. This is like the real thing here, right? Like, when I wrap up this last like 1 hour and 45 minutes, that's a lot of time, right? Like in his life that he spent with us, the value he gave. And when I wrap this up, there were 1,000 tools in there, but there were for me three major takeaways, right? And probably you've seen it like this. Relentless execution and focus leads to results. This was the first one. The second one is every problem is a problem of perspective. And I know there were a couple here in this room that were struggling last week or the last couple of days with that, right? So, hey, if you want to get the chance to work with Ross, get more of his time too, and also like support the cause because this is important. We need to take care of the second generation. It can be as little as $100. That's like one time less eating out, guys, right? That's like one time less, like, I don't know, doing whatever. Just let's get it rolling. I'm double down, whatever you do. Let me drop the website here in the chat. Let me do it right now, Melinda. And I appreciate you for that. I put it in here. Go over there, put something in there because Ross will take good care of that. And it's not one family you help. Over the lifetime of the money, it will be multiple families. And with that said, guys, I think that was a beautiful, beautiful session. I need to say thank you, Ross. I know it's not like the same. Um, it's not like, yeah, how would you say that? Like, you don't take the time for everybody like this. But I said, hey, I'm committed to your cause. You're committed to our cause. So let's go. Let's move. And I really need to thank you for everything you shared today because there were so many valuable nuggets in there, and especially. I think a lot of people are struggling like with this focus thing. What is it really? What am I doing? Because most of the times, and we talked lately a lot about that in our internal group was, am I really doing the things I need to do, or am just thinking I'm doing the things I do? Does that make sense? Like it's really this like this huge gap in between there. And what I really want to give you with today, guys, do the right things and do them like, and this is when you hang out with guys like Ross, right? Like, and sometimes I have the privilege that I get like an hour of his time, or when we meet on this mastermind events or whatever. What decides them from everybody, from the normal people, let's call it like this, because they're exceptional people in a with the perspective of business, is they're relentlessly working on their quest and are focusing every single day on doing that. And they have a second thing. They solve problems. Like the last mentor you mentioned, like it's about solving problems. When you have a problem in front of you, it's not a problem, guys. Just like take it and how can I solve that? This is like what really good, great entrepreneurs do. This is what like divides the average people by the exceptional people. And it's an easy thing. It's a matter of perspective. And with that said, guys, I'm gonna open it up for 10 more minutes for a Q&A if Ross is willing to give us that. Other than that, go to savinghomes.org land, and we will make like in a week from now we will make like a cut, and then I'm gonna double down on that whatever came, and Ross gonna double down, and then we will be in a really good spot to help this family out. So $100 helps, and let's open up for Q&A. Anything, guys, that came up that you wanted to ask that came to your mind? Let's go.
I got a
Paul,
question. Russ,
let's go.
earlier on, and thanks, a lot of golden nuggets here. Earlier on, when you opened up, you had mentioned, in a decade from now, you see real estate being digitized and whatnot. And literally right before I was on my Trezor moving, some XRP off of into, Web3, where do you see real estate getting tokenized, and where do you see this thing going, and as far as blockchain and real estate?
That's a great question. I can tell you because I was part of First American Title, that makes all of their money in the inefficient world of title. They are paying very close attention to those companies because they are nervous about what it will do to the transfer of real estate and all of the money they make off the inefficiencies of just doing title. So
Right.
the answer is the tides are all pushing in that direction. I don't know exactly who's going to do it, what it's going to be, but everything is pushing in that direction. I've seen these companies that are offering, if you bring your real estate to them and they tokenize it, and you're the one to get it tokenized, you get a royalty on that piece of real estate, like for life. So there's a lot of innovative things that are like coming up and falling down, but eventually something will stick. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I keep seeing a lot of people trying different things. So
Yeah. Cool.
I think, like when you think about like what happened the past 2, 3 years, right? Like how much more data got accessible, like what we talked about a lot too, right? Like data got more accessible. You have more tools to move the data, AI, ChatGPT, right? Like all this deep seek, like whatever is out there. all these things, they will just like democratize the market. So it probably will be much easier to own a piece of real estate. There will be a lot of pros to that. But what it needs, there will also be a lot of cons because everybody that stays where we are and tries traditionally, you need to have a close eye because when it happens fast. The innovation cycles are so fast right now, right? Like there's like, I mean, they have the race to super AI right now. Like when that cracks, like suddenly everything will just like dang, 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 dang. You will see it fall, and then it's where you need to be there. But it's inevitable that we go there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I wanted to take a step back here and maybe you guys can see this, but on my screen, you see those like 100%. Those are my
Yeah.
accountability people saying they just finished their top 3. So after I get off this call, I can do a 100. And I'm telling you, those morning masterminds, those accountability pods that we're creating, really help move you forward and get you out of your own way. So, Paul, I hope you create a morning mastermind.
Yeah,
Uh,
where are these like friends that you trust? Because my whole thing is I've gotten rid of all of those ones that are not good for me, I'll say, in my life. But I'm left with like me and Robin and like one other person that I could actually call a friend that I think in common with. So like where do we find these mentors? Where do we find these mastermind people that we
that's
want to do this with? Because I don't know, but I want to.
Yes. That's a great question. And if you have my morning mastermind, I realized after selling my company and not having anyone to report to, I'm like, my productivity is like kind of slouching, right? Because I don't have to do anything anymore. So
Right.
I needed to get accountability. So it started with just one person that I met up with every morning. And then we brought one more on. 3 is kind of the magic number because if one person can't make it, but you don't want it to be a hour session. You try to keep it to 15 minutes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
where you find the morning mastermind people are people that you are comfortable with, people that you can call and you say, listen, we're going to do this. Here's how it works. And everyone that I've worked with has been able to find a few people to do it with. It usually starts with one person you trust, and then eventually you bring on one more person. And something magic just kind of happens in those group. It's the daily drum that you need because it's really easy to get pulled off track for long periods of time. So this just pulls me back straight every morning. And then I can look back at the progress and be like, holy moly. And it makes me read my damn primary aim, which I know, but I just don't do it, even though I know I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Okay.
you have to find those people. It could be a family member, an old buddy, anyone who's trying to better themselves in their wealth, health, or happiness. Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should make that part of the Land Autopilot program.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Robin. I mean, we're
We'll bring that
already
up tomorrow. We have our call tomorrow. Ross brought some great ideas here tonight, right? Like, so this is what it is.
And if you're looking for a mentor, you have to set your primary aim, you have to set your quest to find your mentor. And now you're reporting back to these people every day that you're going to find some mentors, you're going to surround yourself with some people of influence, and you work on that a little bit every day, and all of a sudden you have it.
I think like one of the distinctions in there is like really this who are the people that have the influence to speak in your life, right? And mentors can be physical, but they can also be non-physical in 2025 for me personally. There's a YouTuber or like a Instagram personality. Like they share so much, you can get influence through that too, not through your specific problem in that moment, but like to that how they view life, right? Like maybe there's a certain podcast, like a certain like understanding you mean. And like upgrading these cycles or changing, not upgrading, changing the cycles, which is cycling life paths. Like, dude, I'm like 6 years here like in the US now, I've changed my cycles probably in the past 15 years, 15 times. My mom always says, on your birthday, I always knew people I didn't know a year before. And she's right with that, because this is like I move really fast through life, so you meet different people on the way, and it's not like leaving other people behind. It's just like, hey, letting new people in your life that have the influence to speak where you are in life. Does that make sense? In the area of life. And it's also about like, what am I focusing right now? I'm focusing building business. You probably want to have people around you that are building businesses. But when these guys are like building businesses and they need to let steam off and drink a lot, and next year you want to do like your health thing, right? Like you probably don't want to have these people around you anymore, right? Like you want to have like your local person. And that was like a really like dramatic example. You know what I mean, right?
I know.
So it's really that you just be pretty much aware who has influence on you, like what do you consume, and because it can bring you so much away from your focus, and you don't focus on the right things in the quest where you are. And I think a lot of people have already trouble with identifying what is my quest right now. So if you felt guilty on that, spend some time on the weekend. Why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And is it really aligning with now what I want in life?
Yes, and also I'm a big advocate of also starting small to build momentum.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, quest, does it have to be this crazy thing? It does not. It just has to be an intent that you set, that you work toward, because you're building your willpower up by say it, do it, say it, do it, say it, do it. And then when you start writing things down, you just start doing it because it becomes second nature. And that's what's been really helpful. A lot of people on the morning calls, when they would first start, they would set huge goals for their day,
Yeah.
and they would miss them.
Yeah.
And we're like, no. Top 3, you're going to get done. You can do stretch goals if you want, right? But you have to make sure you're taking a few steps forward toward that every single day. And again, this is just advanced information about the basics. It's the cornerstones. It's the building blocks to build off of. And when I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, real estate investors, their cornerstones are crumbled. They don't have the right focus. They have no one in their life. They don't really know what they're doing. And they have no way to get back on track when they fall off. And I just have a hard time. I have to spend time building those cornerstones with them before we can start building stuff up, which is fine. But that's kind of where I always start. As a mentor, I need to make sure that people have accountability in their life between our meetings, because mentor meetings aren't every day. So I need to make sure that they're getting used to reporting to people that are outside of the normal people they would report to. If that makes any sense. And Robin, man, this has been great, and thank you for your generosity.
Oh, absolutely. Guys, it's 8 p.m. Like we wanted to do this an hour, and kind of like you jammed through it. And I think there was so much valuable information. Ross, thank you so much for coming on, guys. Check savinghomes.org/land. When it's $100, like just get it over there. Let's help this family. And with that said, guys, thank you so much, Ross. I hope we talk soon and see everybody soon. And have a good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.